Sagebrush Flats, Indian Territory, May 1876. The eastbound stage rolled past the fort's wooden stockade just as Hattie Fletcher stepped off the westbound train with one trunk and a name she'd buried 3 years back. The fort sat at the junction where the stage line split, and the telegraph superintendent had just announced the company would reroute through Broken Ridge unless the town paid protection fees nobody could afford. Hattie's boots hit the platform, and she smelled dust, horse sweat, and trouble. She was 28, dark auburn hair pinned tight, green eyes that had seen too much. And she'd come because the fort needed a horse trainer, and because running was the only thing she had left. The trunk held 2 dresses, her father's old Colt, and a ledger she'd stolen from a crooked judge in Kansas City. She didn't plan to open it. She planned to disappear. The man against the post was bleeding through his vest and grinning like he'd won a hand of poker. He had light brown hair sun-bleached at the edges, gray eyes that looked too sharp for someone losing blood, and a jaw that said he didn't ask for help.
"You the horse trainer?"
His voice came out steady, but thin.
I am. You need a doctor.
Doctor's 3 days east, and I got maybe 3 hours. You any good with a needle?
Hattie looked at the blood spreading across his ribs and made a choice that would crack her life open.
I've sewn worse. Can you walk?
If you keep talking.
She hauled her trunk, and he hauled himself, and they made it to the canvas tent the fort sergeant pointed out before he collapsed on the cot inside. His name was Oliver Hendricks. He was a bounty hunter, and somebody had put 2 bullets in him for bringing in a rustler who worked for the cattle baron, squeezing every small rancher within 50 miles. The baron's name was Emery Calhoun, and his hired muscle answered to a man called Voss, who didn't blink when he pulled a trigger. Oliver had made it to the fort because he'd ridden 4 days with holes in him and a fever that should have killed him twice. Hattie boiled water, tore up her spare petticoat, and pulled the bullets out with her father's skinning knife, while Oliver bit down on a leather strap and didn't scream. When it was done, he passed out, and she sat on the floor with blood on her hands and her heart hammering, because she just saved a man who looked exactly like the kind of man who got people killed. She stayed because he needed watching, and because the fort sergeant offered her a job starting at dawn. The horses were half-wild Mustangs, brought in from the grasslands, and the previous trainer had quit after one kicked his shoulder into pieces. Hattie had grown up gentling horses on her father's ranch before the bank took it, and before the judge took everything else. She knew how to read a horse's fear, and she knew how to wait. Oliver woke at midnight, burning with fever, and she sponged him down with cool water and whiskey, and he looked at her with eyes that didn't track right.
"They'll come for me."
Who?
Voss. Calhoun's man. He doesn't leave loose ends.
Then we make sure you're not loose.
She meant it as a joke, but Oliver grabbed her wrist with a grip that said he was still dangerous, even flat on his back.
You don't know what you're saying. Calhoun owns the sheriff, owns half the telegraph lines. You helped me, and you're on his list.
I've been on worse lists.
His hand dropped, and he passed out again. Hattie sat in the dark and thought about the ledger in her trunk, the one that named every bribe the Kansas City judge had taken, the one that included a single line about a payment to a man named Calhoun for a land deed that didn't exist. She'd stolen it because the judge had stolen her father's ranch with a forged signature, and she'd planned to burn it once she was far enough away that it didn't matter. Now, she wondered if it mattered here. Dawn came hot and still. Hattie walked to the corral and met the Mustangs, and spent 3 hours letting a black mare with a white blaze learn her voice. The horse didn't trust easy, but Hattie had patience, and by midday, the mare was taking sugar from her palm. Oliver was sitting up when she got back to the tent, his face still pale, but his eyes clear.
You didn't run.
I don't run from work.
You should run from me.
Too late. I already pulled bullets out of you. That makes you my responsibility until you're healed.
I don't need a nursemaid.
Good. I'm not offering. I'm offering a place to stay until you can ride and a deal. You tell me everything you know about Calhoun, and I'll tell you why I'm here.
Oliver studied her like he was adding up a bounty sheet.
You in trouble?
Maybe. Are you?
Always.
They shook on it. Oliver told her Calhoun had moved into the territory 2 years back, buying up land with money nobody could trace. He ran cattle and freight, and he'd gotten the railroad to reroute the stage line through his own town, unless Sagebrush Flats paid fees that would bankrupt every business from here to the Kansas line. The sheriff was a man named Pruitt, who wore Calhoun's brand as sure as any steer. The telegraph superintendent was a man named Sinclair Whitmore, who handled the bribes and the threats, and who liked to play cards with money he didn't have. Whitmore was Calhoun's voice in town, and he'd put a price on Oliver's head for bringing in the rustler.
How much?
500. Dead.
That's a compliment.
That's a death sentence.
Hattie pulled the ledger from her trunk and set it on the crate between them.
Then, maybe we should talk about death sentences.
She opened it to the page with Calhoun's name. Oliver read it twice, and his jaw went tight.
Where did you get this?
Kansas City. A judge named Carver. He took my father's ranch with a fake deed, and I took this before I left. I didn't know Calhoun's name would be in it. I didn't know it would matter.
It matters. This is enough to hang Carver and put Calhoun in front of a federal marshal. If it's real.
It's real. Every name in that book is real, including mine.
She turned the page and showed him the entry. Hattie Fletcher, daughter of Samuel Fletcher, paid $300 for silence regarding fraudulent deed execution. Oliver looked at her, and something shifted in his face.
You took a bribe?
I took money to leave town and keep my mouth shut. I was 25 and alone, and the judge said if I stayed, he'd make sure I hanged for my father's debts. So, I took the money, and I ran. I've been running since.
And now?
Now I'm tired of running. And now I'm looking at a man who got shot for doing the right thing, and I'm thinking, maybe it's time to stop.
Oliver closed the ledger and handed it back.
You bring this to the marshal, and Calhoun will know. He'll send Voss, and Voss doesn't miss. You'll be dead before you make it to the Kansas line.
Then we don't go to Kansas. We go to the telegraph office, and we make Whitmore an offer.
What kind of offer?
The kind where he gets to walk away with his life if he turns on Calhoun. The kind where we burn the whole thing down.
That's not an offer. That's suicide.
Maybe. But I didn't come here to hide forever, and you didn't get shot to let Calhoun win.
Oliver stared at her for a long moment, and then he started laughing. A low, rough sound that made him wince and press a hand to his ribs.
You're crazy.
Probably. You in?
I must be crazy too.
They spent 2 days planning. Oliver heeled slow, but steady, and Hattie worked the horses and listened to the talk around the fort. Whitmore had put out word that a bounty hunter had died of his wounds, and that the cattle baron was offering work to anyone willing to ride guard on the stage line. Men were signing up because the pay was good, and because nobody wanted to cross Calhoun. The fort commander was a tired captain named Dillon, who didn't have the men or the authority to push back. The town was dying one bribe at a time. On the third day, Oliver could walk without holding his side, and Hattie decided it was time. They waited until evening, when the telegraph office was quiet, and then they walked through town like they had business. Whitmore's office sat above the general store, a narrow room with a desk and a telegraph key, and a window that looked out on the main street. Hattie knocked, and Whitmore opened the door with a smile that died when he saw Oliver. He was a thin man in his 40s with slicked back hair and a nervous habit of touching his collar.
Hello, Sinclair.
Whitmore tried to shut the door, but Oliver's boot was already in the gap. They pushed inside, and Hattie closed the door behind them. Whitmore backed up until he hit the desk, his hand reaching for the drawer.
Don't.
She had her father's Colt out and aimed before he could blink. Whitmore's hand froze.
We're not here to kill you. We're here to make a deal.
Whitmore's eyes flicked between them, calculating odds.
I'm dead. You're supposed to be dead.
Change of plans.
Oliver pulled the ledger from his coat and dropped it on the desk.
You know what this is?
Whitmore stared at it, and his face went white.
That's right. Every name, every bribe, including yours. You've been skimming off Calhoun's payments and covering it with fake telegraph fees. You're in that book 6 times.
Whitmore sat down hard in his chair.
What do you want?
We want you to send a telegraph to the federal marshal in Fort Smith. We want you to tell him that Emery Calhoun has been bribing officials and threatening the stage line. We want you to testify.
Whitmore laughed, a high, brittle sound.
You're insane. Calhoun will kill me.
Calhoun's going to kill you anyway. You're a loose end. The only question is whether you go down with him or you walk away.
There's no walking away.
There is if you help us. We give you a head start. You disappear before the marshal gets here. Calhoun goes to trial and you're in the wind.
And if I say no, then we take this ledger to the marshal ourselves, and we tell him you refused to cooperate. You'll hang right next to Calhoun.
Whitmore's hand shook as he reached for the telegraph key.
He'll send Voss. Tonight.
Let him.
Whitmore sent the message. The reply came back in 10 minutes. The marshal would arrive in 4 days with a deputy and a warrant. Whitmore sat back in his chair, looking like a man who just bet his last dollar and lost.
You don't understand. Voss doesn't wait for warrants. Then we don't wait either.
They left Whitmore in his office and walked back to the fort as the sun dropped behind the western hills. Hattie's heart hammered the whole way, and Oliver kept his hand on his gun. When they reached the tent, Oliver turned to her.
You should leave. Tonight. Take a horse and ride east. Don't stop until you hit Kansas.
I'm not leaving.
Hattie, Voss will come and he'll burn everything. You don't need to be here for that.
Yes, I do. This is my fight now.
It's not your fight. It's mine.
It's ours. I pulled the bullets out. I made the deal. I'm staying.
Oliver looked at her like he was memorizing her face.
You're stubborn.
You're bleeding again.
She pointed at the fresh blood seeping through his bandage. Oliver looked down and swore.
I'm fine.
You're not fine. Sit down.
She pushed him onto the cot and unwrapped the bandage. The stitches had pulled, but nothing had torn. She cleaned it and wrapped it again, and when she looked up, he was watching her with an expression she couldn't name.
Why are you doing this?
Because somebody has to.
That's not an answer.
Because I'm tired of being afraid. Because you didn't leave me to deal with this alone. Because maybe I want to see what happens if I stop running.
His hand came up and touched her wrist, the same way he'd grabbed it in the fever. But this time, his grip was gentle.
You could get killed.
So could you.
I've been getting killed for years. It's what I'm good at.
Then, maybe it's time you got good at something else.
His thumb brushed the inside of her wrist, and she felt her pulse jump.
Like what?
Like staying alive.
He pulled her closer and kissed her, soft and careful, like he was asking permission. Hattie kissed him back and tasted dust and smoke, and something wild that made her forget every reason this was a bad idea. When they pulled apart, his forehead rested against hers.
That was stupid.
Probably.
We're going to die.
Maybe. But at least we'll die doing something right.
They heard the horses an hour later. 4 riders came fast from the south, their silhouettes sharp against the evening sky. Oliver grabbed his gun belt, and Hattie took her Colt, and they ran for the corral. Captain Dillon was already shouting orders, and the fort gates swung shut. The riders stopped 50 yards out, and one of them dismounted. He was tall and broad, with a face that looked carved from stone.
That's Voss.
Voss walked forward alone, his hands loose at his sides. He stopped at the gate.
I'm looking for a bounty hunter named Hendricks. I'm told he died here.
Dillon stepped up to the gate.
He did. 3 days ago. We buried him east of the fort. I'd like to see the grave.
Dillon hesitated, and Voss smiled.
Or I can come in and look around.
Oliver stepped out from behind the corral fence.
No need, Voss. I'm right here.
Voss's smile widened.
Well now, looks like you're tougher than I thought. That looks like you're slower. We'll see. Calhoun wants a word with you. You come quiet, and nobody else gets hurt. I don't take meetings with men who send ambushes. That wasn't an ambush. That was a message. This is an ambush.
Voss whistled, and the 3 riders behind him spread out. One carried a torch.
You got 30 seconds to walk out here, or we burn the fort.
Hattie stepped up beside Oliver.
He's not going anywhere.
Voss looked at her like he was noticing her for the first time.
Who are you?
Nobody you need to worry about.
If you're with him, you're my business.
Then, your business just got complicated.
She raised her Colt and aimed it at Voss's chest.
You light that torch, and I put a bullet in you. Then your man put bullets in us. Then the captain puts bullets in them. Everybody dies, and Calhoun loses 4 men and gains nothing. Or you ride back and tell Calhoun the marshal's coming in 4 days and he can answer questions under oath.
Voss's smile faded.
You sent for the marshal.
We did. Federal warrant. Bribery. Extortion. Attempted murder. It's all in writing. You want to add killing a federal witness to that list?
Voss stared at her, and then at Oliver.
Calhoun's going to love this. Calhoun's going to hang. You can hang with him, Or you can ride out tonight and keep riding.
Voss thought about it. Then he turned and walked back to his horse.
4 days. We'll see who's still standing.
The riders left at a gallop, the torch still unlit. Hattie lowered her gun and her hands were shaking. Oliver pulled her back behind the corral fence, and Dylan slammed the gate shut.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
It worked.
It worked because Voss doesn't want to hang. But Calhoun won't wait 4 days. He'll come himself.
Then, we'll be ready.
They weren't ready. The next morning, Whitmore was gone. His office cleaned out. The telegraph key, silent. Someone had broken into Hattie's tent and torn through her trunk, but the ledger was in Oliver's coat, and Oliver had slept with it under his head. They moved into the fort's supply shed, a windowless room with one door and a bar across it. Dylan put 2 guards outside. Hattie worked the horses during the day, and Oliver watched the horizon. On the second day, a rider came from the south carrying a white flag. He was young, maybe 20, with a nervous mouth.
Message from Mr. Calhoun. He wants to meet. Just him and Hendricks. Noon tomorrow, at the crossroads. Tell Calhoun I don't meet with cowards.
The rider left. Oliver paced the shed.
He's going to try something.
Of course he is.
We need a plan.
We have a plan. We wait for the marshal.
The marshal's 2 days out. Calhoun won't wait.
Then we don't give him a target. We stay inside the fort until the marshal arrives.
And if he tries to burn us out?
Then, Dylan's guards shoot him.
Dylan has 12 men. Calhoun can bring 50.
Then, we make sure he doesn't bring 50.
Hattie pulled the ledger out and opened it to the page with the cattle brand records.
Calhoun's using brands from 6 different ranches. These men are working for him under threats. If we can get word to them that the marshal's coming, some of them might turn.
And some of them might warn Calhoun.
It's a risk, but sitting here waiting to die is a worse risk.
They sent riders to 3 small ranches on the list. 2 didn't respond. The third sent a man named Pruitt, a wiry rancher in his 50s with sun-scorched skin and hands like leather.
You're the ones stirring up trouble with Calhoun.
We're the ones trying to stop him from stealing the whole territory.
He's already stolen half. My ranch included.
Then help us take it back. The marshal's coming. Federal warrant. If Calhoun's men testify, he'll hang.
And if they don't, we all hang.
Maybe. But at least you'll go down fighting.
Pruitt looked at the ledger, and his face went hard.
That's my brand. And my neighbors. And the Hendersons down the creek.
Calhoun used your brands to move stolen cattle. If you testify, the marshal can prove it.
I testify, and Calhoun kills my family.
Calhoun's going to kill your family anyway if you don't stop him. This is your chance.
Pruitt took the ledger and walked out. Oliver slumped against the wall.
That went well.
He'll come around.
You don't know that.
I know he's tired of being afraid. Same as us.
That night, they heard gunfire south of the fort. It stopped after 10 minutes, and nobody came back. Dylan sent a scout at dawn, and the scout found Pruitt's ranch burned to the ground. The barn collapsed, the house a shell. No bodies. The family was gone. Hattie sat on the floor of the shed and felt her stomach turn.
This is my fault.
This is Calhoun's fault.
I pushed him. I told him to fight back.
He made his choice. Same as us.
And now, his family's dead.
We don't know that. Maybe they got out.
Oliver.
I know.
He sat beside her and pulled her against his side. She pressed her face into his shoulder and tried not to cry.
We're going to stop him.
How?
I don't know yet. But we will.
You keep saying that.
Because I believe it.
Why?
Because you're still here. Because you didn't run when you had the chance. Because you're the stubbornest woman I've ever met, and I've met a lot of stubborn women.
That's not a plan.
It's better than a plan. It's hope.
She kissed him then, hard and desperate, and he kissed her back like they were the only two people left in the world. When they pulled apart, his hand cupped her face.
When this is over, I'm taking you somewhere safe.
Where's that?
I don't know. Somewhere without bounties and cattle barons and ledgers.
Sounds boring.
Sounds perfect.
The marshal arrived at noon the next day with a deputy and a warrant, and a hardness in his eyes that said he'd seen worse, but not by much. His name was Bass Reeves, and he was a black man in his 40s who wore a deputy's star and carried 2 guns like he knew how to use them. He read the ledger in silence and then looked at Hattie and Oliver.
This is enough to arrest Calhoun. Where is he? South. He's got a ranch 20 miles out and 50 men working it. Then, I'll need more deputies. You'll need an army. Dot, I've got jurisdiction. That's better than an army.
Jurisdiction won't stop bullets.
No, ma'am. But the law will. Eventually.
Reeves rode out that afternoon with his deputy and a warrant. Hattie and Oliver stayed at the fort. 2 days passed. On the 3rd day, Reeves came back with Calhoun in chains, and Voss riding beside them with his hands tied. Calhoun was a big man in his 50s with silver hair and a face that looked used to winning. He didn't look like he was winning now. Reeves locked them in the fort stockade and came to find Hattie and Oliver.
Trials in 3 weeks. Fort Smith. You'll both need to testify.
What about Whitmore?
Gone. We'll find him. And Pruitt's family? Found them hiding in a canyon 15 miles west. They're safe. Pruitt's willing to testify.
Hattie felt her chest loosen.
And the other ranchers?
4 more came forward. Calhoun's done. What about the sheriff? Pruitt's already run. He won't make it to Kansas.
Reeves left to file his report, and Hattie and Oliver walked out to the corral. The black mare came over and nuzzled Hattie's hand.
We did it.
You did it.
We did it.
All right. We did it.
He pulled her close and kissed her under the wide sky. That night, they sat outside under a cottonwood tree that grew beside the creek. Hattie had brought blankets, and Oliver had made coffee over a small fire. The stars were bright, and the air was cooling.
What will you do after the trial?
I don't know. I've been a bounty hunter for 8 years. That's all I know.
You could do something else.
Like what?
You could train horses. You're good with them.
I'm better at tracking men.
You could track horses.
He laughed.
That's not the same.
No. But it's quieter.
You want quiet?
I want safe. I want a place where people don't get shot for trying to keep what's theirs.
That's not this territory.
It could be. If enough people stand up.
Maybe.
She reached for his hand,
What do you want?
I want to stop running. I want to wake up in the same place 2 days in a row.
That's all?
I want you.
She looked at him and felt her throat tighten.
You have me.
I know. But I want it permanent. I want to marry you.
She didn't say anything for a moment. Then she smiled.
When?
After the trial. Soon as we get back.
That's only 3 weeks.
You need longer?
No. I just wanted to make sure you meant it.
I mean it.
She kissed him, and the fire crackled and the creek ran beside them. They sat there until the fire burned low and the stars turned overhead. The next morning, Hattie worked with the black mare in the corral. The mare was calmer now, responding to her voice and her touch. Oliver watched from the fence.
You've got a gift.
She's just scared. She needed someone patient.
Most people aren't.
Most people don't try.
A rider came in from the east, dusty and tired. He dismounted and went straight to the commander's office. 10 minutes later, the commander came out and called for Reeves. Hattie saw them talking and felt a knot form in her stomach. Reeves walked over to the corral.
What is it? Whitmore's been spotted in Tascosa. He's trying to buy passage to Mexico. You going after him? I am. You want to come? How far? 2 days hard ride. Maybe 3. I'll go.
Oliver.
He'll run if we don't catch him now. And if he runs, we might not get another chance.
I know. But you're still hurt.
I'm fine.
You're not fine. You were shot 2 weeks ago.
And I've been resting. I can ride.
She wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. If Whitmore got away, the whole case could fall apart.
Then I'm coming too.
No,
Yes.
it's too dangerous.
I've been in danger since I got off the train. I'm not stopping now.
Hattie,
I can ride as fast as you. And I can shoot.
this isn't about what you can do. It's about keeping you safe.
You can't keep me safe by leaving me behind. If you go, I go.
Oliver looked at Reeves. Reeves shrugged.
She's got a point. Fine. But you stay back when we make the arrest.
I'll stay back.
They left an hour later. Reeves, his deputy, Oliver, and Hattie. 4 riders heading southwest across open country. The land was dry, and the sun was brutal. They rode hard and made camp at dusk near a dry wash. Reeves posted watch, and they ate cold beans and hardtack.
Whitmore's got a 2-day lead. We'll catch him before he crosses the border, but it'll be close. What's his play? He's got money. He'll try to bribe his way onto a southbound wagon, or buy a horse and run for the Rio Grande. And if he gets across, then we lose him.
Hattie sat close to Oliver and watched the fire.
What if he fights?
Then we fight back.
I mean, what if he kills someone?
He won't.
You don't know that.
No. But I know Reeves. And I know the law's on our side.
She wanted to believe him. The next day they rode harder. By late afternoon, they reached the outskirts of Tascosa, a rough town of adobe and wood sitting on the Canadian River. Reeves sent his deputy to ask questions, and they waited at the edge of town. The deputy came back 20 minutes later.
He's here, staying at the hotel. Paid for a room last night and hasn't left. He waiting for someone? Looks like it. Stable boy said a Mexican trader's coming through tomorrow with a wagon train headed south. Then we take him tonight.
They waited until dark and then moved into town. Reeves went to the hotel and came back with the room number. They went up the back stairs quiet and slow. Reeves knocked.
Mr. Whitmore. Deputy Marshal Reeves. Open the door.
Silence. Then a crash and the sound of a window breaking. Reeves kicked the door in and they rushed inside. The room was empty. The window was open and the curtain was flapping. Oliver ran to the window and looked out.
He's running.
They went down the stairs fast and out into the alley. Whitmore was 50 yards ahead, running toward the livery. Oliver sprinted after him and Hattie followed. Whitmore reached the livery and ducked inside. Oliver slowed at the door and drew his gun.
Hattie, stay back.
She stopped, and he went in. She heard voices, and then a gunshot. Her heart stopped. She ran to the door.
Oliver.
I'm fine. He missed.
Inside, Whitmore was backed into a corner holding a pistol. Oliver had his gun trained on him. Reeves came in from the side door with his deputy.
Drop it, Whitmore. You can't arrest me. I have friends. Important friends. Your friends can't help you now. I'll pay you. Whatever you want. I don't want your money. Everyone wants money. Not everyone.
Whitmore looked at Oliver.
You're a bounty hunter. I'll double whatever they're paying you. I'm not getting paid. Then why are you here? Because you hurt people I care about. That woman. Her name's Hattie. I don't care what her name is. You should.
Whitmore's hand shook.
I'm not going to prison. Yes, you are. I'll die first. That's your choice.
For a moment it looked like Whitmore might pull the trigger. Then his shoulders sagged, and he dropped the gun. Reeves stepped forward and put him in irons. They walked Whitmore back to the hotel and locked him in a room with the deputy standing guard. Reeves went to file a report with the local law, and Oliver and Hattie sat outside on the hotel porch.
That was close.
Too close.
But you got him.
We got him.
What happens now?
We take him back to Fort Smith with Calhoun and Voss. They all stand trial together.
And then?
And then we go home.
Where's home?
I don't know yet. Where do you want it to be?
Somewhere quiet. Somewhere with good soil and water.
That's a lot of places.
Somewhere we can build something. Together.
I like the sound of that.
They rode back to the fort the next day, with Whitmore tied to his saddle. It took 3 days, and Whitmore complained the whole way. By the time they reached the fort, Hattie was ready to gag him. Reeves locked him in the stockade with Calhoun and Voss, and the three of them sat in silence, staring at the walls. 2 weeks later, they all traveled to Fort Smith for the trial. Judge Parker presided, and the courtroom was packed. Hattie testified first. She told the whole story from the train to the ledger to the canyon. Calhoun's lawyer tried to tear her apart, but she held steady. Oliver testified next, and then Pruitt, and then the other ranchers. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for 2 hours and came back with guilty verdicts for all three. Calhoun got 20 years. Voss got 10. Whitmore got 15. Outside the courthouse, Oliver took Hattie's hand.
It's over.
It's over.
You ready to get married?
Yes.
Tomorrow? I seen the warned Randant Reckling. Once out of said, there were place at the time. Tomorrow gan stress with that Fieren Luch coims. I were they love, with a lost lawn spark. A singular stress, and to the waist to Boeing freached in the teaching dang ties. The head had part from higher. I called it tire, but my finally was pay for a Christ it's walking.
Tomorrow.
They found a preacher that evening and arranged everything. The next morning, they stood under a cottonwood tree beside the Arkansas River. Reeves was there, and his deputy, and a handful of people from the fort. The preacher read the words, and Oliver and Hattie said their vows.
I take you Hattie Fletcher to be my wife. I promise to stand beside you and protect you and love you for as long as I live.
I take you Oliver Hendricks to be my husband. I promise to stand beside you and believe in you and love you for as long as I live.
The preacher pronounced them married, and Oliver kissed her, and everyone clapped. They spent that night in a small hotel in Fort Smith, and the next morning they started the journey back to Indian Territory. They took their time, riding slow and stopping to camp under the stars.
Where should we settle?
I've been thinking about that. There's good land near the Cimarron River. Water year-round. Plenty of grass.
You want a ranch?
Maybe. Or we could train horses. You said I was good at it.
You are good at it.
Then that's what we'll do.
What about bounty hunting?
I'm done with that. I want something that doesn't end with someone getting shot.
Horses get shot too.
Not as often.
She laughed and leaned against him. They reached the Cimarron a week later and found a spot where the river bent and the cottonwoods grew thick. There was a meadow with good grass and a hill that would be perfect for a house.
This is it.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Then, let's get started.
They made camp, and the next day Oliver rode to the nearest settlement to file a land claim. Hattie stayed and started clearing brush. When Oliver came back 3 days later, he had supplies and lumber and a look of determination.
Claims filed. This land is ours.
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 They worked through the summer, building a cabin. It was slow, hard work, but they didn't mind. Every board they nailed was one more piece of their future. By August, the cabin had walls and a roof. By September, it had a door and windows. In October, Hattie rode to the fort and came back with the black mare and 2 other Mustangs.
Our first herd.
That's a small herd.
It'll grow.
And it did. By the end of the year, they had 6 horses, and word was spreading that Hattie Fletcher could gentle any Mustang. People started coming from miles around to buy trained horses. Oliver built corrals and a barn, and Hattie worked with the horses every day. One evening in late November, they sat outside under their cottonwood tree with blankets and coffee. The air was cold, but the sky was clear.
Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't met?
All the time.
And?
And I don't like thinking about it.
Why?
Because I can't imagine my life without you.
You had a life before me.
I had a job. That's not the same thing.
What's the difference?
A job is something you do to survive. A life is something you build with someone you love.
She kissed him.
I love you, Oliver Hendricks.
I love you, Hattie Hendricks.
They sat there until the stars came out, and the cold drove them inside. Winter came hard that year with snow and ice and bitter wind. But the cabin was solid, and they had food and firewood and each other. They spent the long nights talking and planning and dreaming about the future. In February, Oliver rode to the fort to pick up supplies and came back with news.
Judge Parker retired.
When?
Last month. He's moving back east.
That's the end of an era.
It is. But Reeves is staying on. He's training new deputies.
Good. The territory needs him.
He asked about you. Wanted to know if you were happy.
What did you tell him?
I told him you were the happiest woman in Indian Territory.
And are you happy?
I've never been happier.
Spring came in March with rain and green grass and wildflowers. The horses thrived, and Hattie's reputation grew. By April, they had 12 horses and a waiting list of buyers. Oliver built a second corral and started breaking ground for a larger barn. One afternoon, a family arrived in a covered wagon. The man introduced himself as Tom Bergen and said he was looking for land to homestead.
There's good land north of here along the river. You should talk to the land office at the fort. I will. But I wanted to ask you something first. My wife and we've got 3 kids and not much money. We need horses, but we can't afford trained ones. You think you could teach us to train them ourselves?
Hattie and Oliver looked at each other.
We could do that.
Really?
Really. Come back next week, and we'll get started.
The Bergens came back, and Hattie taught them everything she knew. By summer, they had their own small herd and were training horses for their neighbors. Word spread, and more families came. Some wanted to buy horses. Others wanted to learn. Hattie and Oliver helped them all. By the end of summer, their ranch had become a gathering place. Families came to trade horses and share news and help each other with the hard work of building a life on the frontier. One evening in September, Hattie and Oliver sat under their cottonwood tree and watched the sun set over the river.
We did it.
Did what?
We built something. Something good.
We did.
I'm proud of us.
Me too.
She leaned against him, and he put his arm around her.
Do you ever think about going back? To bounty hunting?
No.
Not even a little?
Not even a little. This is better. This is real.
What was that?
That was survival. This is living.
They sat there as the sky turned orange and pink and purple. The river ran beside them, and the cottonwood leaves whispered in the breeze.
Oliver?
Yeah?
I'm pregnant.
He went very still. Then he turned to look at her.
You're sure?
I'm sure.
How long have you known?
A few weeks. I wanted to be certain before I told you.
And you're happy?
I'm terrified.
Me too.
But happy?
So happy I can't even find the words.
He pulled her close and kissed her forehead, and they sat there holding each other as the stars came out. The baby was born in May, a girl with dark hair and green eyes like her mother. They named her Anna. Hattie recovered quickly and was back working with the horses within a month, Anna wrapped in a shawl against her chest. Oliver built a cradle and set it in the barn so Anna could sleep while they worked. That summer was the happiest of Hattie's life. The ranch thrived, and Anna grew strong and healthy. Oliver was a devoted father, spending every free moment with his daughter. One evening in late July, they sat under the cottonwood tree, with Anna asleep between them.
Do you remember the day we met?
At the fort.
You were bleeding and angry, and you didn't trust me.
I didn't trust anyone.
And now?
Now I trust you. With everything.
Good. Because I trust you too.
I know.
We've come a long way.
We have.
And we've got a long way to go.
I'm looking forward to it.
She smiled and reached for his hand. They sat there as the sun set and the stars came out, their daughter asleep between them and their whole future ahead. By autumn, Anna was crawling and getting into everything. Hattie and Oliver took turns chasing her around the cabin and the barn. The ranch continued to grow. They now had 20 horses and had trained a dozen families in the art of gentling mustangs. One afternoon in October, Bass Reeves rode in with his deputy. He was older now, his hair more gray, but his eyes were still sharp.
Marshal Reeves. Good to see you. Good to see you, too, Oliver. And you, Hattie.
What brings you out here?
Just checking on old friends. Heard you had a baby.
We did. Her name's Anna.
Congratulations. May I see her?
Hattie brought Anna out, and Reeves held her gently.
She's beautiful. Looks like her mother.
Thank you.
You two have built something special here. I'm proud of you. We couldn't have done it without you. You would have found a way. You're both fighters. We're done fighting. Good. The territory needs more builders and fewer fighters.
Reeves stayed for supper and told them stories about his work. Things were changing. More families were settling. More towns were being established. The wild days were ending.
It's a new era, and you two are part of it.
We're just trying to make a living.
You're doing more than that. You're showing people how to build a life out here. That matters.
After Reeves left, Hattie and Oliver put Anna to bed and sat outside under the cottonwood tree. The air was cool, and the leaves were starting to turn yellow.
He's right, you know.
About what?
About us building something that matters.
Maybe.
Not maybe. Definitely. We help people. We teach them. We give them hope.
I never thought about it that way.
You should. Because it's true.
He pulled her close, and they sat there in the quiet.
I love you, Hattie.
I love you too.
Always? Sigurd warned runs and recting. One offer said, suppired to less at the time. Peer the wind stas but that for year and strams. Or in Ed Hollands, when a lust lots mark pogen.
Always.
Winter came again, gentler this year. Anna took her first steps in January, wobbling across the cabin floor into Oliver's arms. By spring, she was running and talking, and getting into even more trouble. The ranch continued to thrive, and their reputation spread across the territory. One evening in May, they celebrated Anna's second birthday under the cottonwood tree. Friends and neighbors came from miles around. There was food and music and laughter. As the sun set and the guests left, Hattie and Oliver sat with Anna between them, watching the stars come out.
This is everything I ever wanted.
Me too.
A home. A family. A future.
We're lucky.
We are. But it wasn't luck. We fought for this.
We did.
And we'll keep fighting to protect it.
Together.
Always together.
Anna fell asleep in Hattie's arms, and Oliver carried her inside. When he came back out, Hattie was still sitting under the tree looking up at the stars. He sat beside her and took her hand.
What are you thinking about?
Everything. How far we've come. How much has changed.
And?
And how grateful I am. For you. For Anna. For this life.
I'm grateful too.
Promise me something.
Anything.
Promise me we'll never forget how hard we had to fight for this. Promise me we'll never take it for granted.
I promise.
She kissed him, and they sat there under the cottonwood tree with the stars overhead and the river running beside them, and their daughter sleeping safe inside. They had come through fire and blood and fear to find this peace, and they would hold on to it with everything they had. For as long as they lived, together.